A year ago, Ji-hun took part in a competition known as the Squid Games, where indebted people play for a huge sum of money. As the winner, Ji-hun received the grand prize, but all the other players died. Now, Ji-hun is at the airport trying to leave for the USA to reconnect with his daughter. However, after seeing another desperate man being invited to the game, Ji-hun decides to stay and find the people behind the games to take them down. He receives a call from the person overseeing the games, known as the front man, who warns him that he will regret it, but Ji-hun ignores him. Back in Seoul, he stops at a shop and buys a knife. Then, in the bathroom, he searches his body until he discovers there's a tracker behind his ear and he removes it. Meanwhile, Detective Young-ho wakes up not knowing where he is. A year ago, he had infiltrated the games to search for his brother In-ho, who turned out to be the front man. In-ho shot Jun-ho and let him fall off the cliff, assuming he was dead. However, he was rescued by a boat and taken to the hospital, where he is now waking up. 1.2 years later, Jung-ho is working as a traffic officer. As he lost his phone with all the evidence of the games in the ocean, he nearly got fired for disappearing for many days without a word. But his boss spoke highly of Young-ho, and they only demoted him. In his free time, he meets with Captain Park, the man who found his body in the water. Together, they are searching every island in the area to find the games again. Meanwhile, Ji-hun is hiding in a motel where he has set up a load of security cameras. One night, he sees the front man at the door with 2 human heads, but it's just a nightmare. He meets with the loan shark Kim and his assistant Woo-suk. He has been hired to find the man who recruits new players for the games. So far, they haven't found him, so Ji-hun pays them extra money to hire more people. He offers a huge reward for whoever catches him. Tim and Woo-suk hire gangsters to search subway stations for a suspect, but have no success. They share all the clues they have and fan out to every subway station, checking out any man who even remotely fits the description. However, so far there's been no success, and Woo-suk starts to wonder if the story is true. One night, while they were taking a break, the duo finally spots the recruiter playing a clapping game and handing the invitation to Myung-ji. As the recruiter leaves the station, Kim and Woo-suk follow him while calling Ji-hun to warn him. At that very moment, young Ji gets a call from his pregnant ex-girlfriend, Yoon-hee, but he doesn't answer. Yoon-hee is currently at the clinic, but she cancels the appointment after she also receives an invitation for the games. Moments later, the recruiter goes to the park and approaches the homeless people, asking them to choose between a bread roll or a scratch card. Only one person chooses the bread, while everyone else picks the scratch card, but none of them win anything. Afterwards, the recruiter throws the leftover bread on the ground and starts stomping on it, saying that it was the homeless people who wasted this food. Kim and Woo-suk record everything and send it to Ji-hun. In the center, Hun is driving too fast and gets pulled over by the police. A rookie takes his personal information before letting him go with a ticket, and when Yoon-ho looks at his partner's screen, he recognizes the name Ji-hun from the games. He searches for the name in the system and gets an address for a car rental company in the park. The recruiter leaves, so Kim and Woo-suk follow him into an alley to catch him. However, the recruiter is quick and easily outpaces both of them. Moments later, Ji-hun finally arrives and finds some blood on a knife, but not the men. Meanwhile, the recruiter has taken Kim and Woo-suk to a posh room and tied them up. He tells them they have to play rock, paper, scissors, and the loser will have to play Russian roulette. During the first rounds, nothing happens because there's only one bullet in the gun, so the odds are low. However, the recruiter adds a bullet each round, and eventually Mr. Kim gets shot in the head. Seeing this, a terrified Woo-suk agrees to talk. In the afternoon, Jun-ho bursts into the office where Kim organized the operation and finds some documents with the address of the motel. When Ji-hun returns to the motel, the recruiter is waiting for him. He shares that he started off as just a petty thug in the games and had to remove the bodies of the dead players or shoot those who misbehaved. One day, he had to deal with a player who turned out to be his father, but the recruiter didn't hesitate to kill him as well. Then, the recruiter announces that they will play Russian roulette. The gun changes hands over and over again without anything happening for several rounds, but eventually the bullet hits the recruiter and he dies instantly. Ji-hun checks his pockets and finds a black envelope. At that moment, Yoon-ho bursts into the hotel and finds Woo-suk in a random room. After freeing him, he keeps searching and finds Ji-hun. Just as he's about to arrest him, Woo-suk knocks Young-ho out with a fire extinguisher. Ji-hun checks the card from the envelope that mentions the HDH club and the date the 31st of October at midnight. When Young-ho wakes up, He and Ji-hun share what they know and agree to work together to put an end to the games. Woo-suk also wants to help to avenge Kim Ji-hun. He shows them all the money he's won and the weapons he's collected so far. There's a hole in the wall that leads them to a back room where they can practice shooting without anyone hearing them. In the car park of an amusement park, there's no oil. While sleeping in his car, a police officer knocks on his window and warns him that he can't do this, so it has to be the last time. The next day, she starts her shift as the park's mascot and is so kind to the children that a little girl gives her a used drawing. After work, she takes the little money she earned to a stockbroker, hoping he can rescue her daughter from North Korea. However, she has already searched for the child without success and there's nothing more she can do. That night, a new recruiter doesn't bring any oil or an invitation to the games. The next day, she quits her job and calls the number on the card to accept joining the games. Then she burns the card and the drawing the child gave her. As part of the plan, Ji-hun removes a tooth and replaces it with a fake one that has a tracker in it. He also hires a group of thugs who train with their weapons in the hidden room. Later, Ji-hun calls his daughter, but he doesn't dare to say anything, he just listens to her voice before hanging up. When the day finally arrives, the club is packed with people celebrating Halloween. Ji-hun and Woo-suk search the club while Junho stands guard outside. He spots two people dressed in the game guard's uniforms and follows them into the club, threatening the bouncer to get through. Unfortunately, he arrives too late. One of the guards electrocuted Woo-suk to knock him out, while the other forces Ji-hun out of the club. Yuan-ho finds a sleeping Woo-suk and notices on the tracker that Ji-hun is leaving, so he warns the hired thugs. Ji-hun is taken to a limousine that the thugs start to follow in their cars. The man in the mask speaks to Ji-hun through a speaker, who refuses to stop the game when Ji-hun asks him to. He explains that the game will continue as long as the system keeps ruining people. When they reach an empty street, snipers hidden on various rooftops shoot at the thugs' car tires to stop them. Ji-hun realizes this and opens fire inside the limousine, but the glass is bulletproof. Determined to stick to the plan, Ji-hun has no choice but to volunteer to participate in the games again, and soon a sleeping gas knocks him out. At the docks, 3 trucks pick up more people, including some without oil. However, she wasn't chosen to be a player, instead, she'll be one of the guards. The next morning, Yoon-ho and Woo-suk board Park's boat with the thugs, following Ji-hun's signal on the tracker. On the island, Ji-hun wakes up in the Squid Game facility with all the new players. He's wearing the game uniform and has the number 456. As last time, the guards arrive to explain the rules. The players will be here for 6 days, and those who win all 6 games will receive a huge cash prize. Myunji interrupts to ask about his phone, so the guards play a video of him to reveal that he used to be a YouTuber. His career ended when he promoted a new cryptocurrency and caused thousands of people to lose money. Now he's a wanted man for fraud. Other people also complained about the situation and the masks, so the video shows the massive debt of each person who spoke up. Then a massive piggy bank appears to collect money until 45 billion. After each game, they vote to continue. If most vote to stop, they leave with their money. After each game, they can vote whether they want to continue playing or not. If the majority votes to stop, everyone can leave with the money they've accumulated up to that point. The guards are interrupted when Jang Sik sees that his mother is also playing. Well, he's a player, but the games don't care about people's ages. The next step is to sign the consent forms. After Myung-gi finishes, he is approached by Nam-jiu and rapper Thanos, who lost money in the cryptocurrency scam. Myung-gi doesn't feel guilty, and Taeno gets quite aggressive, so Nam-jiu has to step in to separate them before things get out of hand. When it's Ji-hung's turn to sign, he learns the rest of the rules. Players can't back out, and those who don't play will be eliminated. The only way to have it is during the voluntary ceremony. Then, the players have their photos taken before being sent to the first game. Ji-hun is shocked to find that his old friend Yoon Bae is also playing, and he tells him to stick close. Meanwhile, Young-ho and his men follow the tracker until they finally reach the island and send a drone to search the facility. The island seems to be empty, except for a fisherman. The group quickly surrounds him and finds the tracker among his tools, which means the game people took it out of Ji-hun's mouth when they gassed him. Soon, the players are sent to a courtyard where a massive doll is waiting for them. Ji-hun is worried because his friends aren't showing up and he takes out his dental implant. To find out that the tracker has disappeared, he'll have to play. The first game will be red light, green light. The players have 5 minutes to get to the other side of the yard, but they can only move when the door says green light. If the door says red light, everyone must stay still, and those who move will be out. Ji-hun tries to warn everyone that being eliminated here literally means being killed, but they don't believe him. The game finally begins, and the man in front, Joe, watches from his private room. Determined to save everyone, Ji-hun shouts instructions telling him when to move or when to stay still, allowing the entire group to move forward without any problems. Thanos warns a woman of a bee, she panics, moves, and gets shot. The bee scares another, who also gets shot. Panic spreads, guards shoot at fleeing people. Everyone is in shock as the bee flies off and scares another person, making them move, so this player also gets shot. This causes many people to panic and try to escape, so the guards start shooting at everyone from their posts. Ji-hun keeps shouting to remind everyone to stay still, but they still lose dozens of players. Now people believe Ji-hun. He explains that the doll detects movement with sensors and that they should hide behind bigger players whenever they can move. Thanos seizes the opportunity to grab some illegal sweets he had hidden in his necklace. Following Ji-hun's instructions, the group continues to play quite well, although a guard shoots a woman for trembling. Thanos deliberately pushes 3 players, and they are also killed. A few rounds and many deaths later, half of the group manages to cross the line. One of the players who was shot is still alive, and Ji-hun goes back to help him reach the finish line, but the guard breaks the rules and kills the injured man after he crosses the line. Once the players are back in the shared room, they are informed that 91 people have been killed and 365 remain. When a group of players starts begging for their lives, Ji-hun reminds them that they can vote to end the game now. First, the guards fill the piggy bank with the money accumulated so far, which isn't much if they have to split it among so many players. The voting begins, and the players have to press a button before they are given a tag that represents their choice. Seeing so many people voting to stay, Ji-hun tries to warn them about the upcoming games, and a heated discussion breaks out, forcing him to admit that he has done this before. Thanos sees this as an advantage because it means Ji-hun can help everyone survive. The guards interrupt the discussion and force everyone to keep voting. The numbers end in a tie, and only one player is left. This man votes to stay, and while half the group celebrates, it's revealed that he is Injo, who has secretly joined the game. Later, during dinner, the players ask Ji-hun for advice about the next game. He tells them it's Dalgona, a game where they have to carve a piece of candy without breaking it. Some players want to keep the information to themselves to gain an advantage, but Ji-hun promises that he will help everyone equally. In-ho keeps asking Ji-hun why he came back, not understanding the concept of altruism. Meanwhile, Ji shares his food with Yoon-hee because he realizes she's pregnant. Thanos and Nam-ju keep pestering Myung-ji until he blows up and starts a fight, so In-jo tries to calm them down. When Thanos and Nam-ju try to fight him, In-jo shows off his skills and easily overpowers both of them. This earns him everyone's respect. In the middle of the night, In-jo tells Ji-hun that his pregnant wife is very ill and needs money to pay for treatment, winning Ji-hun's sympathy. In the facilities labs, the guards are having trouble harvesting the organs of the dead players. Many of them have been deemed irrecoverable because they have been shot a second time, which is not supposed to happen. They realize that no oil did that, so they take her to see the officer who is overseeing things while Sung-ho is in the game. The officer met No Illinois 7 years ago when she was a rebel fighting in North Korea, and he hired her for the games in exchange for finding his son. He shouts at her for breaking the rules, but she doesn't care and just walks away. In Seoul, Yoon Yu-ho tries to get help from the police, but they keep refusing to do anything without evidence. He tells Wo-suk and the thugs to keep searching the islands in the area. However, Park says they'll have to wait to sail again due to the bad weather. The next day, Thanos continues to secretly enjoy his sweet treat. Yoon-hee approaches Myung-ji to tell him that she's going to have the baby, which goes against what they had agreed upon. The discussion is interrupted when the second game is announced, but it's not Dalgona as Ji-hun predicted. The group is taken to the yard and asked to split into teams of 5. Most people no longer trust Ji-hun, so he ends up on a team with In-ho, Jung, Bae, Dae-ho, and Yoon-ji. The game is a 6-legged pentathlon, and each team will have their legs tied together. They'll take turns playing a minigame at every 10-meter mark, and if they win, the team can move on to the next one. There are 5 games, 5 minutes to finish them all. After the teams choose which player will participate in each game, the guards tie their ankles. While the first 2 teams begin to play, the waiting teams watch them to learn some strategies. Diojo watches C deal with some pieces and begins to practice with some stones on the ground. When a team fails at a game, they are allowed to start over as many times as needed, but that makes them lose a lot of time. This makes them feel even more scared and nervous, leading to even more mistakes. Instead of paying attention, Nambu asks Thanos to share his happy sweet. When the first round ends, both teams fail to complete the games and the 10 players are shot on the spot. More guards arrive to take the bodies away in coffins, but they always make sure to shoot them again. The next team to play is GMJ. Young Mi is really nervous and keeps losing the first game, but Yoon gently calms her down and manages to win. Young Sik misses the first stone throw, but hits the target on the second one. Shoon is playing with the small pieces and makes a tiny mistake, but she quickly recovers and wins thanks to her son's support. As the crowd cheers them on, the fifth team member gets too nervous because she sees the blood on the floor and can't get the top ready. After many attempts, Yoon gives her a few taps and threatens her until she focuses, which helps her use the top correctly. Finally, Yoon has to kick a pom-pom 5 times if she manages it on her first try, so the team wins the challenge just in time. The teams keep playing with varying degrees of success. Most of them get through, including Thanos' group, but some lose and are killed, so now there's blood everywhere. The final 2 teams are a random one and Ji-hun's team, Jun-hee, who starts off winning on their first attempt, and Young Bai also throws the stone successfully on his first try. Thanks to his practice, Dai-ho also succeeds without failing. Unfortunately, In-ho keeps failing with the top and starts to panic, so Ji-hun has to calm him down. Thanks to that support, In-ju finally wins the game. With only a few seconds left, Ji-hun starts kicking the pom-pom and nearly misses, but Jung-ho helps him get it moving, and the team successfully completes the challenge. The other team doesn't make it and they are killed. When the players return to the room, Yoon shares with her team that she needs the money to pay for the operation she needs to complete her transition. No one is happy to see that Shahun has arrived. Their team decides to make proper introductions, and Jun-ho uses a fake name. Meanwhile, 2 guards bring her no oil to her room and scold her for messing up the bodies. She tries to defend herself, but there are 2 of them and they have a knife, so they overpower her. As they cut her cheek, they say, "This is your final warning. If she messes with the bodies again, they'll cut her fingers off." Afterwards, the guards go to the players' room to add the money to the piggy bank and make an announcement. 110 players died during the last game, which means there are 255 left. Now it's time to vote, and Jin-hun's team, including In-ho, decides to choose to stop. Jong-sik ignores his mother's worries and chooses to carry on. The votes seem to be tied again, so In-ho gives a speech to try and convince everyone to stop. However, an old man insists that it's still not enough money, as most people here have huge debts. Once again, a discussion breaks out, so the guy starts shouting for one more game, quickly winning the support of a lot of people. In the end, giving in to the game wins. Later, during dinner, Jang-sik explains to his mother that he has more debts than she knows about, but Jim is already disappointed in him. Ji-hun's team isn't happy with Young Ba either, because he also voted to stay, but they still keep him in the group. They also give Yoon Ji a bit of extra food for the baby. In the bathroom, Thanos' team is bullying Myung Ji because he chose to leave, but just as they're about to fight, In-ju walks in and Taeno leaves, scared. The atmosphere in the whole room is tense and everyone is on edge, so Ji-hun tells his team to sleep under the beds and to take turns keeping watch in case of an attack. In the middle of the night, GM needs to go to the loo and tells her son not to worry because she has a knife hidden in her hair. She needs to go to the loo and tells her son not to worry because she has a knife hidden in her hair. The guards tell her that no one can come in or out at this hour, but she cries and pleads until they finally let her go. The next morning, Yoon-ho splits his team into 2 groups to continue searching all the islands in the area. At the facility, the players are taken to a room that looks like a carousel for the 3rd game. It's called Mingle, and they have to step onto the platform, which will start spinning when they hear a number. The players must form groups of that size and enter the rooms in just 30 seconds. As the platform starts to spin with all the players on it, a children's song begins to play. The first number is 10, and people immediately panic as they grab whoever is closest to them and rush towards the doors. When the time runs out, the few players who are left behind are immediately killed. After the bodies are taken away, the platform spins again and the chosen number is 4. The players panic again, and the teams of 5 from the previous game have no choice but to split up. Most people manage to find enough mates to run towards the doors. There's a group that only brings 3 people. After the time runs out, the guards shoot the players left on the platform, but they also shoot the team that got the wrong number. This time, the guard doesn't shoot the bodies more than once and follows the protocol correctly. For the next round, the number is 3. People panic again and the atmosphere is tense because many players are offended. After the split last time, Jang Sigik is dragged away by two lads, so GM ends up in a room with In-ho and Ji-hun. A manipulative In-ho asks seemingly innocent questions about Jang Sigik to make it look like he abandoned his mother, planting the seed of doubt in her mind, even though she defends him. After the losers are killed, GM finally reunites with her son, crying in a tight embrace. The next number is 6. The teams form quite quickly, but as they rush towards the doors, Young gets pushed and ends up outside. Yoon-yu and Yi-hyum are already devastated by their death, and Yoon-yu shouts at Myung-gi for closing the door, but he points out that his group was full, so he saved the lives of his team. The number for the final round is 2. Aino pushes a lad out of the way to get to the door with Young, but a third person slips in before they can close it. Without a second thought, Aino kills the third lad, so the number in the room is correct. The game ends with only 100 players still alive. Meanwhile, Jun-ho launches a drone from the boat to get a better view of all the islands at once. He finally finds a hidden door among the bushes, so the group heads there to investigate. As they try to open the door, a hidden bomb goes off and sends everyone flying. Most of the group survives, but unfortunately, a bully returns to the boat as a corpse. Park thinks they should go back, but the group refuses and Yoon-ho starts setting new rules to prevent any more information from leaking, as he believes they have a mole. As the players return to their room, Myung-jiji tells Yoon-yu that they should try to be together again after the games are over. However, when he starts talking about investing, she realizes that he only wants the money and rejects him. Yoon Jubai counts the stickers and realizes that there are more people who want to stay, so Ji-hun wants to talk to them to try and change their minds. However, In-jo points out that the more they annoy them, the angrier people will get, and they can't afford another fight. Soon the guards arrive and the voting begins. However, In-jo points out that the more they annoy them, the angrier people will get, and they can't afford another fight. Soon the guards arrive and the voting begins. Many people are changing their minds, including Yoon Yu, who no longer wants to play after witnessing Young Mi's death, and Jang Sik, who wants to make his mother proud. In the end, it's a perfect tie, 50-50, so the guards announce that they will vote again the next day. During dinner, people group together according to their stickers to eat together. Both sides try to convince the other to change their minds, and a new argument breaks out. While everyone is fighting, Ji-hun notices that his food package includes a fork that isn't needed for tonight's dish. Later, Thanos and Nam-yu corner Minute-su in the bathroom to try and change his mind about the vote. Thanos starts shouting and is interrupted by Myung-ji, who calls other men from his voting group to defend Minute-su. Thanos also calls for backup and starts insulting Jung-hee to provoke Myung-ji, who falls into the trap and tries to hit him. This triggers a full-on brawl among all the men in the bathroom, and Minute-su seizes the opportunity to escape. A furious Thanos pushes Myung-ji to the ground to start choking him, so Myung-ji defends himself by stabbing him in the neck with a fork. So Myung-ji kicks Thanos and hides in a cubicle. As the fork is still stuck in Thanos' neck, other players grab it and use it to kill as well. The fight also shatters a mirror, giving them shards to commit more murders. Two guards outside hear what's going on, but they don't do anything. Soon, 5 deaths are announced in the main hall, and the money is added to the piggy bank. The men from the bathroom return and start accusing each other of having started the fight to make the other team look bad. As they start arguing again, they count the stickers and realize that the team wanting to leave now has more people. The tense moment is interrupted when the guards send everyone to bed. On the boat, one of the goons spots Park fiddling with the drone, so Park quickly stabs him and throws him into the water. When a man approaches to check the noise, Park pretends it was a wave hitting some boxes. Back at the facility, the guards are told to prepare for a special game. Ji-hun thinks the other team will attack them during the night. In-jo thinks they should attack first, but Ji-hun disagrees. He points out that they shouldn't kill each other, instead, they should team up to go after the people in charge. His plan is to wait for the fight to kick off in the hall and try to snatch the guards' weapons, taking advantage of the element of surprise. Meanwhile, Nam-yu has stolen Thanos' necklace and is taking way too many happy pills. He also reveals that he has the fork. Yoon-hee feels sorry for Myung-ji and tells her to hide when the fight starts. As soon as the lights go out, Ji-hun and his close friends hide under the beds. The other team attacks, and soon people are dying everywhere, because of the darkness. Sometimes they don't even know which team the victim belongs to. Ji-hun is pained to see all these deaths and not be able to help, but he thinks this small sacrifice is necessary to prevent more deaths in the future. Minute-su throws a piece of glass in an attempt to kill Nam-yu, but he misses his target, and Namyu uses the shard to kill more people. Finally, the lights come on and the guards enter the hall to stop the fight. Ji-hun and his team pretend to be dead, and when the guards try to check on them, they leap at them to snatch their weapons. The players open fire immediately and take out half of the guards, while the other half hide behind some beds to shoot back. The more guards are killed, the more weapons the players can steal. Noticing this, the officer tells the remaining guards to leave the room and shuts the door. A guard accidentally gets left behind and is taken hostage. So, one of the armed players wants to shoot all the people who attacked in the middle of the night, but Ji-hun stops him. While Yoon-yu shoots at the security cameras, Ji-hun and Jung Bae give a speech asking for more volunteers to take out those in charge. Jiang wants to join, but his mother stops him. Yoon-hee gestures for Myung-ji to stay as well. Not many people join the team, but they are still determined to go ahead with the plan. Yoon-hee gestures for Myung-ji to stay as well. Not many people join the team, but they're still determined to go ahead with the plan. They share the weapons and radios while Yoon-ju teaches them how to use the more advanced firearms, as he used to be a sergeant in the special forces. Afterwards, the team forces the hostage to lead them to the administrative office. When they reach the colorful stairs, they are ambushed by more soldiers who open fire immediately. A shootout breaks out, and the team quickly takes down all the guards without much trouble. After destroying the cameras here as well, they keep moving forward while picking up bullets from the fallen soldiers along the way. Just as they are about to reach the admin door, more guards appear and open fire again, quickly killing the hostage. As another shootout begins, Ji-hun and Jung Bae decide to move forward and look for the boss while the rest of the team buys them some time. The duo opens each door in the hallway, and they all seem to be locked. Then Ji-hun notices a sensor on the wall and puts on a soldier's mask, which opens a wall leading to another corridor. They encounter more guards along the way, so they use the mask to trick them and take them down, only for more guards to come after them. In the main hallway, the team loses a few members and they're running low on bullets. Ji-hun and Jung Bae call them to say they're also trapped with soldiers, so Inju and the two lads run to help them. Dae-ho volunteers to look for more bodies and get more ammunition. Meanwhile, Ji-hun takes a risk and approaches the bodies to grab some bullets, rolling away with just a scratch on his arm. At that moment, Injo arrives with the two men and tells Ji-hun that he's found an alternative entrance to the office, but he needs the duo to keep the guards distracted. Ji-hun agrees and hands over his last bit of ammunition, thinking that Dae-ho will be back soon with more. In the room, Dae-ho gathers all the ammunition he can find from the dead bodies with the help of the others. However, as he steps out, he hears all the gunfire and gets scared, so he drops the radio and goes back into the room to stay with the others. Yoon Jong-ju thinks it's suspicious. No one is responding on the radio, so he decides to go and investigate. Once In-jo is alone with the two men in the hallway, he waits for them to turn around and then takes them both out. He then calls Ji-hun on the radio and pretends that everyone has been shot, using the dying sounds of his mates to make it seem like he's dead too. He also calls his men to order them to finish things off. In the main room, Dun-ju gathers all the ammunition from Dae-ho, but before she can leave, a group of Zweitausendine guards arrives. She wants to fight them, but Ji-yoon convinces her to stay hidden, as she can't win on her own. In the main hallway, one of the team members decides to take his own life with his last bullet. The other two give up, but the guards kill them anyway. Hearing all this on the radio, Ji-han and Yoon-hobi also give up. In-jo appears again wearing the frontman mask and tells Yi-han that these are the consequences of playing the hero, before shooting Yoon-jo Bae in the head. Ji-hun goes mad over the loss of his friend, so the guards have to hold him down. Some time later, the remaining players are playing red light, green light, but this time with two dolls.